Death Note. Here's a little introduction. I'm going to be also talking about the crap Netflix movie because it's disgusting, makes me sick. Let's go. So Death Note is a story about a creature known as a Shinigami of the Shinigami world. He's bored, so he drops the Death Note into the human world, our world, in order to entertain himself with whatever happens as a result. Simultaneously, in the human world, a high school student like Yagami is equally bored with his life, being top of his class and a model student. He doesn't feel challenged by anything. The Death Note, by random happenstance, lands aside his school, and he gets it after class and reads the many rules inside. So now let's stop right here. So that's the anime. That's what everyone loves, and that's how it's supposed to be. So some loser dude decided to go to Netflix and was like, hey dude, can I totally do this? And I'm like, sitting here, like, you could do anything you want with whatever money you have. But don't expect people to just be quiet when you just throw money down the toilet. The movie begins with Light Turner at school, not even finishing someone's homework, but giving them the homework in exchange for money. So let's get this straight. Light Yagami was a model student. He wouldn't cheat, supposedly. And he definitely wouldn't, like, do it for money. Like, if he's gonna, like, do all his, like, there's a throwaway line in the anime where he does his sister's homework, basically, because she's like, oh, I don't understand any of it. So basically he has to do all of her homework. He at least did all of it. He didn't say, okay, that'll be $30. So Light Turner does that. He's not intelligent in the movie. He's just some loser dude from the Naked Brothers band, if y'all remember. I was like, who is that? Like, I remember looking at him and he's from the Naked Brothers band. It's like a Nickelodeon thing. But, yeah, that happens. In the anime, like I said, happenstance, he gets it. But in the movie, supposedly, it was him. Like, oh, it could have been anyone, but they make it seem like it was supposedly for him. This is important in the anime, and basically in the movie. I'm more so going to talk about the anime than the movie, but I'm just going to, like, do the little jabs here and there. Anyone whose name is written down in this Death Note shall die. Other rules apply regarding specific times, but if no death is specified, then the victim is killed by a heart attack. God Complex Light is intrigued. He reads the Death Note, takes it upon himself to kill people. He tests the note on a man who's like in a hostage situation, like he's got people hostage, so he sees it on TV, and he sees that he dies. So he's like, okay, cool. Then he does it on someone who is like attacking someone. He does it on people he thinks is wrong. So it's like, okay, some guy that looks like he's going to rape somebody, let me kill him. And he dies by an accident. So he does it to where someone dies from an accident, where he does the regular thing where he dies of a heart attack. So he's like, okay, cool. So he just starts writing. And then after like 5 days, Ryuk just like floats down and is like, okay, I'm going to just watch you. But he makes him a promise. He promises that if he uses the Death Note, which he already has, he can go neither heaven or H double hockey stick, and that by their journey's end, he will write his name in the Death Note, and that's what he promises him. In the in the movie, none of that happens. So Light has 4 major obstacles: his family, which includes his mother, his sister, and police chief father; the task force, which ultimately is created in a response to the rise of mysterious deaths of criminals; outside forces; and L's successors. And I'll talk about those people later. Let's talk about the outside forces. It includes a love triangle, multiple death notes, and side characters hot on his tracks. Death Note can be broken down into 5 parts: pre-Misa, post-Misa, L's reign, post-L's reign, and Nier's reign. I don't like, I'll talk about basically each one, but I'm not gonna like specify which one it is. I'm just gonna like be talking about it because this is gonna be a very long video. Many challenges come Light's way. With every triumph strokes his ego, and he rationalizes everything he does in the name of quote unquote justice. Very early on, L deduces that Light is Kira. The name the public gives Light for passing judgment on like people who commit crimes is Kira. Light is cocky early on, and when L makes his more like his move on him, he uses an inmate on death row to pose as L, putting an obvious yet clever trap before Light. On TV, an inmate challenges Light with his name on a name tag reading Lind L. Taylor. If not for what ultimately led to Light's fall, he would have seen this trap. But, like, this is his flaw. It shows on, this is the same thing that gets him off in the first place. Like, spoiler alert, he dies. But, he falls into many traps, like I said, despite his intelligence. But he always seems to get out of it. He kills Lindell Taylor, of course, but L's like, oh yeah, that wasn't me, this is me, kill me, and it's just his voice. And he's like, okay, so you need a face, and oh, I see that you in Japan too, so let me pull up. So that's what he does. He pulls up, and then they realize that, oh boy is killing people after school. He's killing people after school. So how are you gonna be someone and pretend, be like, okay, everything's all right. I'm just going to kill people, this, that, and the other. And then, but oh, first I got to do school. Like, so he quickly stops that. Because Light's father is chief police, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's the chief of police and has unauthorized access to files not disclosed to the public. Like, L was like, okay, so you wouldn't know this person was, because he was killing high profile people. And he's like, okay, so now that I know that you're a part of the police, like, he thinks it's infiltrated. So he goes to the FBI and sends them to Japan. He before he pulls up, he sends them to Japan. So his first legit obstacle is a man who follows him. Despite Ryuk's like neutrality, he says he's neutral. He makes Light aware that someone's following him. And he's like, oh, it's because it's creeping me out. When I think every time that Ryuk puts his 2 cents in, it's because he wants to get a particular outcome. And that's just my hypothesis. He said, oh, if you really want to know who this person is, I can give you my Shinigami eyes, but that will cut your lifespan in half. And he's like, I won't tell you what your lifespan is, but I can do this. And he's like, okay, I'd rather not. He's like, I've got a world to, conquer, so I'm not going to be doing that. He basically uses the unique rules of the Death Note that you can take a piece of paper from it and it still work. So the dude that's following him is an FBI agent. He's like, oh, he sets this thing up with this girl he's talking to, and they go on a date and they get on the bus, and that guy also has to get on the bus in order to follow him. So he sits behind him, and there's a guy that's like jacking the bus, and Light is like, I'm gonna go get him, and he's like, don't do that, don't be stupid. And he's like, oh yeah, who are you? And he basically just is stupid, and he's like, okay, despite me, even I would not be in Japan if not for the fact that there is a killer that can kill you with your face and name. I'm going to give someone my face free of charge, and then give them my name free of charge as well, and then be surprised when someone's sitting behind you, talk about, okay, I'm Kira, and now I need you to do this, that, and the other, and if you don't, I'm gonna kill you and your family. So that's what he does. He gets his name, and instead of killing him on the spot right there, he's like, okay, you playing games? He tells him to write down all the names of the people that are a part of the FBI agency thing, the group of people who were sent to Japan, and straight up, it's on the piece of notebook that, like I said, you can take a piece off and it still work. He did that, and he killed him, and he's like, oh, bye, Ray Pember, and then he dies. He dies. So after the success in killing them and Ray Pember, he's feeling himself. He's got like the best ego in the world and starts killing people en masse, talking about Shinigami. Do you know Shinigami likes apples? Like he gets the certain people, the prisoners to write on the wall some crazy thing that he really didn't have to do. This really makes it obvious that it's him later on down the line. But he does that and he plays games and everyone backs off the case except L and the Kira task force, which has 5 members now. Light's dad, Papa Yagami, Idiot Matsuda, Ikuda Blandface, Izoa, or Afro Jack I like to call, and Built Like a Fridge Mogi. So, all these people are on the task force right now. And they're just like, okay, what's going on? We got to do this. So the next obstacle, it comes from the murder mystery sleuth widow, Naomi, the fiance of Ray Pember. She knew her loser fiance, who wanted her to quit her job to be his wife, showed a strange boy his identification despite knowing Kira needs a name and a face, like I said, like, thanks to Lindell Taylor. But she was unluckily caught by Light going to see his father at the same time Naomi was going to the task force to give the information about that. She's smart up until she shows her name because she thinks she's getting like a task force spot. Light kills her. More cues. Before he kills her, Ryuk does this thing where he laughs because she's giving him an alias. And he writes her name down. He's like, why isn't she dying? And he's like following her. And it's really strange that she's like, okay, why are you following me? Like he follows her for like 3 hours. And she's just sitting there like, okay, everything's fine. This is not even in the movie. None of this cool, interesting stuff that makes this show freaking interesting is in the movie at all whatsoever. None of this. There's no Lindell Taylor. There's no Ray Pember. There's no Naomi. There's nobody like that. It's just garbage. It's just fodder. But I digress. She dies. After an absolute win, he cannot rest. Not only does he like protect the Death Note with explosive mechanisms, but he has the door a certain way and a pencil lead in the hinge, so he knows if someone ever has been in his room. When he gives Ryuk apples, aka his crack, he tells him where all the cameras are in his room because I guess they put cameras in his room because Light, literally, if you just have like one brain cell, you can see that Light is Kira. Like in the beginning, he is going to sit there and straight up be like, I'm going to go to school. And then after school, I'm going to kill people. Why don't you kill people while you're eating your breakfast? Why don't you kill people at PE? Like, I know this is, high school, but I'm pretty sure I had PE when I was in high school. So, I don't understand. Like, unfathomable. Like, but whatever. So, he had that going on with him. And then he's going to kill the person that says, I'm L, without even taking 2 seconds to think maybe this isn't L. Maybe the man who has never been seen in his life isn't going to just throw himself to the mercy, like, but whatever. So while he's being watched, he like studies for his exit exams, and he takes a potato chip and he eats it. He eats it. So he basically has inside the potato chip bag a thing so he can see the news and see these people who are the criminals and write their names down. That's basically what that is. So, because L has made Light's life slightly more challenging, he vows to kill him. Ironically, L vows to capture him and bring him to real justice. Light gets a perfect score on his exams and must share the spotlight with another student, Ryuzaki, aka L. He tells him he's L right in his face, and he's just like sitting there like, okay, if I kill you, it could be like Lindell Taylor, but if I do kill you and you do die, or you don't die, it could be like Naomi, where she was like, he's learning from his mistakes that he's making to an extent, to a very short extent. He is learning from his mistakes. He's like, okay, I'll be friends with you, because he's like, okay, we be friends. He's like, okay. They play tennis and Light wins, which mirrors the final match between Light and Elle. He tells him instantly he thinks he's Kira, and that's just like, I don't know why you gave your hand away, but whatever. Elle gets too close to Light, showing him the notes left by the prisoners being controlled before death, and adds an extra one to throw him off. At this point, he reacts like, dude, the way he reacts, I would have arrested him. He's like, oh, it doesn't seem right with the one extra one. It's like, how do you know it's an extra one? Like, arrest him. But whatever. This is where it gets crazy. Like, another Kira emerges via tape sent into a TV show. Kira 2 demands the police to stop investigating Kira or die. They give the precinct 4 days to produce either Elle or the leader of the task force. If they don't, then police officers that are well known will die. Like, Plainface drives to the place where it's being like broadcasted and tries to shoot the door, and he dies. So everyone knows now that this second Kira can kill without knowing someone's name. Just they need their face. This Kira starts killing people as well, like on TV. So they like, oh, change to channel 6 or whatever. They change to it and that person's dead on there. So they just are trying to show that they mean business, and Kira 2 don't play. Light needs to find the fake Kira, as they seem quite reckless and they're just killing people left and right. Elle gets a bit dumb and asks Light to pose as the real Kira to get information from the fake Kira, which is something he could have done. He could have had his father do, he could have had anybody do, but I don't understand why he had someone that he thinks is Kira be Kira, but whatever. Fake Kira tells too much over the airwaves about shinigamis and eyes and notes. So Light wiggles his way to being around idiot Matsuda and some of his school friends while they search for fake Kira at the set meeting spot. It's like an outdoor mall or whatever, so they're walking around, and he's like, okay, so even if this person sees me, they're not going to know who Ryuk is connected to, because you know what? We're all in a group. And idiot loser Light Yagami was outdone once again by this simpleton of a simp, Misa Amane, who is dressed up not like what she looks like, because she's a celebrity. And she's like, okay, cool, I see you. And then she looks and sees that he's the only one, that she can't see his lifespan or something. It's like something is missing. So she's like, okay, I know you're the owner of the Death Note, because she's got the eyes, which means she cut her life in half. She literally just pulls up to his house, straight up pulls up to his house and says, hey, is Light there? And he's like, what on earth? Why are you here? What are you doing? What's going on? And she introduces Rem, her Shinigami, to the equation. She's in debt to him and to Light Yagami because he killed the man who slaughtered her family. He tells her he'll keep her alive until he no longer needs her. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm a simp. I'm Khloe Kardashian. I like to simp for people who don't care about me. And Rem was like, nah, this ain't how it's going to go down. If you kill her at all, or even think that you're going to kill her, then I'm going to kill you, Light Yagami. And he's just like, okay, cool. This is another situation I got to deal with. So he's dealing with her. He said if he even messes with her lifespan, like, that's it. But Misa the simp, like I said, doesn't care. She's too reckless and he wants her gone. He tells her they can be together only if Rem kills Elle. And Rem is like, you know what? All right, cool. I'll do that. And Elle gets a little smart and starts using actual, like, sleuthing to see that on the tapes there were certain follicles that were left, and they match Misa because he was hanging around her all day and got her DNA and tested it. He was like, okay, I'm arresting I'm arresting her, and we think it's you. And he literally, once again, gives his hand away to Light, so that it's just like he wanted him to, like, do this. He wanted him to get away with it, because every chance he gets, he gives his hand. He just gives it away. He just chops it off and gives it away. I don't understand. But right now, Misa is in custody, and she's, like, getting tortured. They don't say how, but they just see that a guy puts on gloves. I don't know what he did to her, but she's like, kill me, and Rem's like, I don't want you to die. She's like, do it, because I can't take this torture anymore. Light can't kill anyone at this point, because if Elle dies, they're going to know that they're connected, because they're trying to protect her, and she's going to prison, and she should already be in prison. She should already be in prison. He should already be in prison. If I were them, I would just shoot them both. Like, that's it. Like, they'd be done. But there would be no show. There would be no bootleg movie if that would have happened. So, Misa in custody, and there's 2 death notes, like, floating about. Like, so he hatches the retcon of the series. Like, this is, like, where the series actually gets kind of insane, to the point of, okay, how on earth did all this happen, and how did that work? But whatever. It's still a good show. They do a little switcheroo magic, and now the 2 death notes are other people. Like, Misa gave up her death note, so she loses her memory. Light then writes fake rules in now Rem's death note to fool whoever gets it next. And the first rule is, if the notebook is destroyed, all who touched it will die. So it'll keep it safe, and it will keep it from being destroyed. And 2, if the author doesn't keep writing names, they'll die after 13 days. It's so that when Light ultimately brings himself forward and says, okay, keep me and see what happens, he can be exonerated, like, straight up. Okay, it's not you, because you're in here and we see you, and it's under surveillance. So Light buries the other notebook, then turns himself in, like I said. Far past the limit he created, he relinquishes ownership during that time, like Misa, and forgets everything. 15 days later, criminals start to die again, because Rem gave the book to a man who lusts for power. While Light is off, he appears to have some morals again, with hints of, like, on Light peeking through. This portion is halftime before the final act, but this is around the time Elle dies, like, spoiler. Before that, they take the man who lusts for power in, but he dies instantly. Ironically. Wonder why. Isn't it interesting that Light touched the notebook before he dies? Isn't that interesting? How come no one sees? Don't understand. So Misa gets her memories back after getting the buried book. But she forgot Elle's real name, because she sees so many names a day and so many lifespans a day. She forgot his. He tells Misa to kill again. But before that, she gets her eyes back, because once she relinquished it, the eyes went away, which is kind of dumb. She gets it back, which means now her life is at 1/4. It was cut in half, and it was cut in half again. It is at 1/4. But with Misa, the whole reason why she's got a longer life is because Shinigami was watching over her and sacrificed himself a long time ago for her so that she could live on. So halving it isn't as bad, but you'll see when she dies, the reason why she dies soon, I guess. I don't know how old she is. She could be in her 20s, for all I know, around this time. Like I said, she gets her memories back. He tells Misa to kill again so that Elle confirms her to be Kira, so that Rem is forced to kill him, which she does. Light becomes the new Elle, and the final act rolls around. It introduces Elle's true successors, Nier and Mello. boys of the same upbringing, like these institutions where they're just like raised to be basically Batman without the Batman suit and everything. Mello wants to do it alone, so they go their separate ways with the same goal in mind, which is kind of dumb, but whatever. The end is near. 5 years after all that stuff that just happened, the world worships Kira as wars stopped and no one wants to commit crimes. Near, with the help of the President of the United States, I don't know who this is supposed to be. It looks like Carter mixed with Bush mixed with like Clinton. I don't know who, but he's supposedly the president. He creates an independent Kira task force with Near at the head. So Mello uses the mob to get things done for real. He actually does things. They capture the police head and question him, but Kira kills him so they have no bargaining chip. They pretend like they don't, and then he ends up revealing that he kidnapped Light's sister to get the police chief to give them the book. Near uses secrecy to infiltrate Japan while this is going on. Light thinks of killing his own sister, but decides it's more beneficial to work with the SPK, which is Near's little group. Mello gets the book anyway, and he kills some of the SPK members that he knew the names of to put Near at a disadvantage. A new Shinigami enters the fold, wanting his notebook back from Mello, which it's the one that Ryuk dropped in the first place. He tells him he can only get his book back if he helps the mob. Light's father gets the ideal, having half of his life taken. They raid the mob's hideout and take the book back. He gets Mello's real name, but he's stupid and tells him, "Oh, I'm giving you a chance to surrender it." He gets shot at. He dies before he can even put his name down. Bone Body Shinigami takes his book back, and the president says, "You know what, Kira's cool, we don't care. Let him reign." And so now Near and Mello are forced to slightly align, and Mello tells Near 2 rules are fake in the book. Near pieces together Light is Kira when he, lets it spill that they have a Shinigami at their headquarters. He puts all eyes on Light and causes the remaining task force members to once again suspect Light. Being the genius he is, he suspected as much and has Misa once again relinquish the book, and her memories are gone so that if they talk to her, she's not going to know anything. And he takes the book to give to a new Kira, a crazed man who worships him as a god. Takeda, I didn't really discuss her, but it's like she's one of Light's old flings, is chosen as Kira's voice on TV, as the last one was deleted for not taking the job seriously. Light secretly meets with her and writes notes as they're being heard but not watched. They were watched before, but then it was just the voice that they could hear. So they were passing notes around, and they're talking about who's going to die and where. He uses Takeda to kill people. He has the crazed guy who's being followed by Near's people right in the notebook very outwardly so that it's seen, so that they think that it's him doing the killing. Okay, so this is where it gets insane. Near gets closer to the truth after noticing a repeat guest on the TV speaking passionately about Kira. With a few switcheroos, Near sets up a date for them to meet while Mello goes crazy and kidnaps Takeda. She kills him, then the crazed Kira kills Takeda before Light can, but he doesn't know. And this proves that they're all connected. At the meeting, Near ensures no one will die, but says a man will try and kill them with the note. The crazed Kira does, and they apprehend him. Aside from his confession, the note proves that Light is Kira because his name was the only one not written on the notebook. Near admits to switching the books and being able to see the Shinigami Ryuk, as he has the original book. Matsuda shoots Light, but he doesn't die by the hands of Matsuda. He dies by the hands of Ryuk as he promised. Misa commits suicide, and Light supposedly becomes a Shinigami. So, That's a good story, right? It's a great story. So it's just like, all you have to do, if you were just going to play the game like on Avatar The Last Airbender, that movie, that M. Night Shyamalan garbage, sin dipped in misery crap, if you were going to do the, okay, one season, one movie, whatever thing, you could have just did like a couple episodes. You could have did a series, but you decided to do a whole movie and try to bear. We don't even get that far. Misa's not even, if you want, guys always want the simpleton simp, ride or die girl that gets nothing in return but slapped around and horribleness. But they want them to be oh so useful to them. I don't understand why they wouldn't put the real Misa on TV. She is the ultimate simp. But you decide to do Mia, who is crazy and wants to kill people and do, like, for the movie, I mean. The movie is just bad. I have nothing really more to say about the movie. I was going to talk about it, but it's just like everything that I've said, it's just like there's nothing in there. They change everybody's ethnicity. Like, Elle, instead of being Anglo-Saxon, like a basement dweller, he's black. Light Turner's not Asian. Misa Amani's not famous. She's straight up just a cheerleader. She's not famous. Y'all could have did so much more with the movie. And it's just disappointing that you got the William Dafoe to play Ryuk, the only person that could possibly be Ryuk on Earth, because he looks like it. And y'all just, it's garbage. Like, that's the story. I suggest all of you watch Death Note. It's really good. And there's this side note, half-piece sidebar story that you can watch. It's an anime that you can watch on YouTube. It's called Death Parade. It ties into Death Note, but it doesn't have anything to do with Light Yagami or Elle or anybody. It's just like a side quest, basically. It's really good. I don't know where else to find it in English. I just watched it on YouTube. Happy Halloween. This was great. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to be putting more videos out there. And this was great. It's like, oh shit,